balance is that's what affects, you know how water sometimes makes you itchy, makes your eyes red. That's because your water's out of balance. You want that somewhere between a 7.2 and a 7.8. I like a 7.4 to a 7.6 if you can get it, and that's for your pH. For your alkalinity, you want it somewhere between an 80 and 120. So I'm always going for that 100. For chlorine, we have none of that in here. We have that fresh plaster in here, so we're being very light with our chlorine right now and trying not to overdo it with anything. But once everything is running as it should be, regular, we'll keep this somewhere to 3 to a 5 parts per million chlorine, and that's going to look like these colors here. You'll want that free chlorine, not total chlorine. You might see that you have total chlorine but no free chlorine sometimes. That's not great. That total chlorine is like a dead chlorine. It's called chloramines. These are chlorines that have been used. If you go to a hotel and you smell chlorine, that pool might need chlorine in it because there's not too much chlorine. That chlorine is dead. It's not in the water. It's not doing any good. And that's what that total chlorine is about. So make sure it's your free chlorine that's up and not your total chlorine. The last two chemicals that are on there are your hardness, which usually for you guys is, yeah, for everyone it's just a bit on the high side, but you're okay. And your cyanuric acid, which is a stabilizer. We'll be adding that once, and then you're good to go for the rest of the season. Finally, salt. You guys don't have any in here right now as we're ready. We're still curing all of the plaster in the pool. But when it's done curing, when we add it, we'll need 3,600 parts per million. And that should, once we add it and get it up to that number, it should more or less stay there for the whole summer. We might see that go down, some salt go down a little bit over the couple of months of summer. And if it does, maybe a bag gets added. But that's not going to be a whole lot of chemistry to worry about. Mostly you'll be worried about maybe a little liquid shock if for some reason the chlorine drops out, and a little bit of maybe acid or sodium bicarbonate to balance out that pH and alkalinity. And that is more or less chemistry. There's